Chapter 81 Meeting Objectives. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The cruel training began. Compared with the other members of Hachinos, such behavior was simply an anomaly. After all, the experience of these pirates is nothing in Hades' eyes. At this time, no one paid attention to them. Time is getting increasingly urgent, and the Rock's pirates' counterattack will break out next. If you want to live, you must become stronger. The grand carnival lasted for 3 days. Hades quickly conquered the 4 pirates. Contrary to what Hades expected, the other officers of the Rock's pirates didn't seem to be in a hurry to recruit talents. Everyone has his own pride. Most of them are waiting for others to come and seek refuge on their own initiative. Hades understands this approach, but does not approve of it. For the development of power, early accumulation is particularly important. There are too many young and potential pirates in the Rock's pirates. Most of them wait until they grow up and become famous and can be valued by them before they take the initiative. By then, these grown-up pirates will have more confidence in their hearts, the confidence to choose, and the confidence to refuse. Those who haven't eaten devil fruits may be able to rise quickly with a powerful devil fruit. In today's new world, if you want to obtain devil fruit, is there any better opportunity than in the Rock's pirates? No. The choice of Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach, the pirate lord who will rise strongly in the future, is the norm in today's Rock's pirates. There are too many ambitious guys. Hades only learned about this situation later, and many young pirates who have just joined the Rock's pirates are not in a hurry to join a certain cadre so quickly, and are still waiting and watching. They also need time to get to know the cadres of the Rock's pirates well enough, and then choose the one who is most beneficial to them. Each great pirate has a different style and personality, so of course you have to choose one you can be comfortable with. The principle that people choose good rulers and ministers, and birds choose good trees to roost in, is the instinctive choice of many people. This also gave Hades a chance. Volibear, a fur bear species; Seamus, the Jaws man; Porcupine Barkley, Cobra Worthy. Volibear and Seamus are not very strong, and can only be regarded as middle class among the newcomers who joined the Rock's pirates. They should be just newcomers who have just gone to sea, and they don't even have a bounty, so they just happen to catch this opportunity. One is 13 years old and the other is 12 years old. Even if they are only in the middle, it still represents their potential. The pirates who can join the Rock's pirates are not weak in strength. At the recruitment meeting, Hades also saw their relatively outstanding performance. Although they were still relatively immature, they had enough growth potential. More importantly, Hades values these 2 forces behind them, the Fur Tribe and the Fishman Island. For 2 unknown young pirates, Hades' recruitment was a surprise. Although there are many Inhumans in the Rock's pirates, they are also vaguely rejected by others, especially the weak and inhuman ones like the Fur Tribe and the Murloc Tribe. They didn't expect that they would be spotted by this young monster, so they naturally wouldn't refuse. For humble pirates like them, joining a team as soon as possible is the most important thing. He has no strength or background, and no one cares if he is killed. Porcupine Barkley and Cobra Worthy are both newcomers with bounties close to 100 million Baileys. They have stronger strength than Orton and Batista, and they are also capable people. Buckley is a person with animal type, dolphin fruit, and porcupine form abilities. Worthy is a user with animal type, snake fruit, and cobra form abilities. But it doesn't mean that their final achievements will be stronger than Orton and the others. As a capable person, you have an advantage. Their recruitment didn't make waves either. In front of Hades, the absolute gap made them unable to have the ambition to surpass them. Hades thought highly of them if he could come to recruit them in person. A week after the banquet started, the atmosphere of the entire Hachinos Island suddenly changed. The atmosphere of war began to spread and envelop the entire new world. The Rock's pirates continued to mobilize manpower and gather forces. The Navy continuously dispatched intelligence personnel to explore the operational layout of the Rock's pirates. If we can know the goal of Rock's pirates earlier, we can deal with it earlier. The battle between the Navy and the Rock's pirates is largely a battle of intelligence power. There was a sense of tension in the air. The interior of the tall, skeleton-like building in Hachinos is also the meeting hall of the Rock's pirates. All-powerful pirates are present, including the 4 kings, John, Silver Axe, Wang Ji, Shiji, Newgate, Charlotte Lingling, and many other main members who can be called monsters. Hades was also present, and he was relatively inconspicuous among them. He just stood in a corner, and Karsus stood behind him. He looked at Ike, Calloway, Bar and others, waiting for the meeting to take place. Crisp footsteps sounded, and the figure of Lox Jibek walked out of the dark corridor. In his hand he held a rolled-up map that was 4 meters long. When I arrived at the first seat, I slapped the map on the table and slowly opened it. What is revealed in front of everyone is a world map. It includes the first half of the Great Line, the New World, the Four Seas, and the Red Continent, and even notes the deployment of the Navy's forces in the New World. This map is very detailed, with many graffiti marks on it, which probably represents their responsibilities for this operation. There is an ultimate order in the chaos of the Rocks Pirates, which can maximize the power of the Rocks Pirates at critical moments, and it is precisely in this way that the Navy can be suppressed. This operation also has a complete plan. Through the map, Hades can roughly determine where the Rocks Pirates' goal is: the New World Power, Rock Country, Building Kingdom, Washington Kingdom, Adams Kingdom, George Kingdom, the Kingdom of Lincoln and the Kingdom of Wilson in the first half of the Great Line, Theodore Kingdom in the East Sea, Harrison Kingdom in the West Sea, Warren Kingdom in the South Sea, and Herbert Kingdom in the North Sea. At a glance, there are 11 world government member countries marked with red crosses. 5 are in the New World, 2 are in Paradise, and 4 are in the Four Seas. It's enough to see the Rocks Pirates' next big move. Among them, the Kingdom of Rock is a famous powerful country in the New World, rich in ores and stones. Most of the stones needed for the construction of the world government are directly provided by the Kingdom of Rock. Hades doesn't know much about the other joining countries, but the countries that can hand over heavenly gold are basically not bad, especially the goals of the Rocks Pirates. There is no naval base up there. For pirates, dealing with the Navy is a completely thankless task. It is difficult to stimulate the passion for fighting, and in most cases, the strength will be conserved. During the battle, the target is to join the country, which is no exception. Each country contains amazing wealth. Pirates are greedy, and wealth and plunder are eternal themes. In order to obtain wealth, the highest fighting passion and fighting spirit can be unleashed. Even if the Navy arrives later, they will go all out to protect the treasure they have obtained. Regarding the pirates' thoughts, the Rocks Pirates are really very accurate. The planning involved must have included analysis by intelligence organizations. The intelligence organization of the Rocks Pirates controls important intelligence power, which also has some staff functions. Only in this way can the power of the Rocks Pirates be brought into full play. To manage such a large organizational group as the Rocks Pirates, strength alone is obviously not enough. It also requires the application of some intelligent techniques, but this does not mean that the Rocks Pirates will not take action against the Navy. Chapter 82 Choice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You all saw it. Rocks pointed at the map, his domineering energy involuntarily exuded, as if he was pointing the way to the country. The Navy's concentration of power in the New World means that it can fight us, but they are happy too early. It's time for them to see our true power across the world. As he spoke, Rocks Jibek looked at everyone. The madness flashing in his eyes was simply breathtaking, and seemed to have infected everyone present. The finger that condensed the dark color of the weapon was pasted on the location of the Rock Country on the map, leaving a deep mark. There are so many targets that division of forces is inevitable. The Rocks Pirates have enough combat power and are not afraid of dividing their forces. These joining countries are the targets of our operation. Leave the country of Rock to me. You can choose the next 4. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes fell on the 4 kings respectively. Rocks was talking about the remaining 4 franchised countries in the New World. As the battlefields of the New World, they face the greatest pressure. Most of the Navy's combat power is concentrated in the New World, and support will definitely come faster, and this will naturally be borne by the 4 kings whose strength is second only to Rocks Jibek. The 4 kings stood at the forefront and closest to Rocks. King of Violence Kosa, this is a terrifying monster with a height of 4 meters and a body covered with muscles. The bulging muscles can burst out with destructive power at any time. Behind him stood many of his subordinates, all of whom were well-known strong men in the New World, exuding a vicious aura. Golden King Donovan's power is larger than Violence King Kosa, with more troops, because he is rich enough. In terms of strength, it is slightly inferior to Kosa. Werewolf Quello's power is relatively weak. As a werewolf, he will be rejected by some pirates in a sense. Moreover, there are many members of the werewolf tribe on his ship, and the main cadres are all members of the werewolf tribe, which is quite exclusive. In terms of strength, it is not weaker than Kosa at all. There is only one death gun Leon left, but he is extremely calm. This is his absolute confidence in his own strength. Leave the Baelden kingdom to me. Kosa said first. With a flick of his finger, the powerful force left his own mark on the location of the Baelden kingdom on the map. Then I will deal with the kingdom of Washington. Golden King Donovan leaves his mark on the map, a head full of blonde hair, like a nobleman. Donovan, who has many billions of dollars, can be said to have the best reputation in the Rocks Pirates. Thanks to the golden fruit, Donovan has strong assets and never hesitates to reward treasures, especially for the development of the golden fruit, which has also reached its awakening. Donovan's development direction is somewhat different from that of the future Golden Emperor. In addition to his ability to control gold, Donovan can create gold. The gold thus created is permanent, not temporary assimilation. There will be no situation where the ability will disappear once the Esper becomes comatose or dies. Regarding the development of golden fruits, Donovan has already reached the stage of gold synthesis. The ability is equivalent to a synthesizer. It only requires some ores and metals to extract useful elements and synthesize gold with a higher value. This kind of Donovan can be said to be extremely wealthy, with countless treasures. The only possible impact is that a large amount of gold flows into the world, causing an increase in the amount of gold, and a decrease in the value of gold without an increase in demand. Hades knew that Donovan had long been targeted by the superpower Hilton Kingdom, the Golden Country. Donovan's uncontrolled manufacturing of gold has long caused chaos in the entire gold market. The decline in the value of gold has directly affected the interests of the Hilton Kingdom. Originally, the gold market was controlled by the Hilton Kingdom, but now it is somewhat out of control. Just like the Kingdom of Kronos controls the silver market of the entire world. What if a user with the silver fruit ability appears who can produce silver? Kill him at all costs. Or just capture them alive and control them in your own hands. The attitude of the Kingdom of Kronos is the attitude of the Kingdom of Hilton. It's just that the current situation is what superpowers like the Hilton Kingdom want to see, and there is no need to weaken the Rocks Pirates for the time being. Instead, they will further promote the growth of the Rocks Pirates and fight against the world government. Adam's Kingdom. Werewolf Quiro stated his goal. Then leave the last kingdom of George to me. Leon chuckled, wiping his love gun. In fact, except for Leon, the other three kings chose franchise countries that are closer to their own territory. In the waters surrounding these participating countries, there are naval fortresses monitoring them. After the operation began, the first thing they dealt with was not the countries that joined the world government, but the elimination of naval forces that could interfere with them. These naval fortresses are the eyes of the Navy. The Navy cannot be allowed to know what their target is in the first place. Attacking the naval base will also give the Navy the illusion that the Rocks Pirates' target is the Navy, and then there will be errors in the deployment of troops. In fact, the actual purpose of joining the country is hidden. Moreover, the naval vice-admirals guarding these naval fortresses did not have the power to threaten them at all. The choice of joining countries may be based on this consideration, which can weaken the world government and weaken the power of the Navy at the same time. What about these two? Which of you is going? That the target of the new world has been selected, and the next step is to reach the first half of the route. The Lincoln Kingdom and the Wilson Kingdom are loyal supporters of the world government. They have always stood on the same line as the world government. It can be said that they have long been tamed by the world government. Compared to the New World and the Four Seas, in the first half of the Great Line, the world government and navy were more powerful and could do more. Sea high is equivalent to the basic base of the world government. It has the largest sea area, resources, and population, and the number of franchised countries is also greater. In the first half of the Great Line, the world government and navy have stronger control. Chapter 83 No Turning Back. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The pressure faced by the two franchise countries targeted in the first half of the Great Line was lower than that of the New World, and second only to the New World. The strong men sent must not be weak, and then it was the turn of John, Silver Axe, and Wang Ji, who were slightly inferior to the four kings. In this situation of divided forces, the distribution of interests and combat power is particularly important. John, Wang Ji, you choose a country to join. Silver Axe will team up with me. Locks made the decision directly for them. the pirate army he leads is destined to be the strongest overall combat force and the strongest one to face. Not only do they have to deal with the rock country, but they also need to deal with the support sent by the navy that comes later. There are now 3 admirals in the New World, and at least 2 of them will be directly attracted to him. The results he wants are not just for the participating countries, but the navy is also his goal, even from beginning to end. Locke was dealing with the world government and the navy. The captain had spoken, and they could not refuse. Besides, choosing 1 from 1 is much easier to distribute than choosing 2 from 3. Eventually John will go and plunder the kingdom of Lincoln. Wang Ji's goal is the Wilson Kingdom. As for the participating countries in the 4 seas, they are easier to deal with. All the elites of the navy have been transferred, and no one can stop the Rock's pirates at all. As long as it's not one of those powerful countries, any cadre sent over can make a big fuss. There are many cadres from the 4 franchised countries in the world who are willing to go. This is equivalent to robbing money. The candidate was quickly determined. Among them, Hades only knew Blade Aggie, and the other 3 were also big pirates with a bounty of more than 300 million belly. This also only temporarily identifies a leader. After the main candidates are selected, some pirates will be left to look after them, and the entire Rock's pirates will be divided into 12 teams. The remaining cadres will also join these 12 teams. This kind of thing is entirely voluntary. Of course, the balance of combat power needs to be ensured and adjustments need to be made. Hades's choice was Rock's. Although the war against the Kingdom of Rock will be more intense, Hades believes in the power of Locke's Jibek more than other great pirates. Moreover, the strength of the Rock's pirates along this route is the most terrifying, including Rock's Jibek, the terrifying monster, and Silver Axe, the top combat power that has grown up. There are also powerful combat forces such as Lion Ghost Shurji, Born Destroyer Charlotte Lingling, Undertaker Calloway, Tyrant Bar, etc. What's more, Hades' own strength is not weak, and there are titans around him, and the commander-in-chief of Hell Dove is hidden in the dark. In terms of own safety and security, it can be said that it is leveraged. It's time to see the top battlefield in this sea. After the meeting ended, the entire Rock's Pirates group maintained an eerie calm, secretly mobilizing manpower. The Navy has no idea what the Rock's Pirates want to do. It is not that simple to monitor the Rock's Pirates. Some areas are restricted areas that are difficult for the Navy and the world government to sneak into. Some pirates disappeared mysteriously, but the Navy was unable to determine their purpose. All signs indicate that the Rock's Pirates' target is the Navy, whether it is the leaked information or the Rock's Pirates' mobilization of troops on the front line. At the same time, the Rock's Pirates showed amazing counterattack capabilities, one after another. Intelligence personnel belonging to the Navy or the world government disappeared and lost contact. The Navy seemed to be blind, and Hachino's island was like a fog to them. Only a few people know that this is the work of Hades. It is very necessary to properly show one's ability and value. To be honest, the Rock's Pirates do not lack such a fighting force. Hades' domineering power of knowledge has amazing strategic value, making it impossible for the intelligence personnel of the Navy and the world government to penetrate into Hachino's. The meeting ended, and the Rock's Pirates were in no rush to take action. Shurji has been very busy recently. He needs to rely on his Piao Piao fruit ability to send the 2 pirate legions targeting the East China Sea and the North Sea to the corresponding sea areas. Crossing the windless zone is not difficult for some big pirates. With Overlord Color and Hockey, they can cross all the way directly. In particular, the aloof zone in the north of the New World connects to the South China Sea and the southern part connects to the West China Sea. To sneak into these 2 sea areas without anyone noticing, the Rock's Pirates have this ability, but it is still the East China Sea and the North Sea, which is a bit difficult. The windless zone connecting the East China Sea and the North Sea is located in the first half of the Great Shipping Route. The north is connected to the East China Sea, and the south is connected to the North Sea. There is also a red earth continent separated from the New World, as well as a large sea area controlled by the Navy. If you don't want to be discovered by the world government and the Navy, you need to rely on Shurji's power. War is all about strategy. If the Navy still treats the Rock's Pirates as an ordinary pirate group, it will definitely suffer a big loss. After years of development, the Rock's Pirates are no longer what they used to be. From Xia Qi's few words, Hades can roughly guess how far the Rock's Pirates' intelligence power has developed. The tide of this sea is rolling, and the shaking of the foundation of the world government's rule is the general trend. The Rock's Pirates are a giant ship, for various reasons, there are countless forces behind pushing this giant ship forward. We can only move forward, there is no turning back. Hit the world government hard. How much power is hidden within the Rock's pirates? It has tentacles from various forces to provide support and continuously supply funds to meet various needs. The supplies and arms from the Kingdom of Kronos secretly strengthened the strength of the Rock's pirates. Today, the core crew of the Rock's pirates is Wang Ji, a swordsman from the East China Sea and the captain of the Wufeng pirates. It's like a mysterious appearance, secretly inextricably linked to the ancient dynasty of Daxia that has existed in the world for 5,000 years. Daxia, a superpower, is low-key, but possesses terrifying power that governments around the world can treat with caution. Even the current Kingdom of Kronos is still weaker. 100 years ago, it has a longer history than the founding of the giant soldier pirates. Mysterious man named Guo emerged from Daxia Kingdom and became the strongest man in the world at that time with his domineering strength. He became known as the Emperor of the Sea and was unrivaled. No more words about that. Epic experience. The world government has paid a heavy price. Probably the situation is that the world government secretly took action against Daxia, but was discovered and ushered in the revenge of Daxia. In terms of strength, he was most likely not weaker than Rox D. Jibek at his peak. The important thing is that he comes from Daxia. Even if 100 years have passed, that man is definitely still alive. It is not difficult for such a monster to live for more than 100 years, and there are even many monsters who live to be more than 200 years old. Of course, the premise is that you have amazing physical skills, your body does not have too many hidden injuries, and learning to maintain health is also a skill. According to the Tartarus family records, the longest living member of the family lived to be 212 years old. In addition to King Bane, there are 3 generations of kings in the Tartarus family who have not died and are still alive and well. The early development of the Rock's pirates requires a large amount of funds, which is secretly funded by the Chamber of Commerce controlled by the Hilton Kingdom. Except for the unknown Kingdom of Holy Light in the South China Sea, almost all superpowers have given help to the Rock's pirates. Even many members of the Elbofoot giant clan, who had been cut off from the sea since the disbandment of the Titan pirates, joined the Rock's pirates. There are more than 20 Titan members in the entire Rock's pirate group. This is a terrifying force, more Titan members than the Navy has. There are also various forces, those kingdoms and alliance countries that want to challenge the hegemony of the world government and the current world order. Chapter 84. The Navy responds to the intervention of 4 seas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Take care. Hades clinked a glass with Newgate and drank heavily at the same time. Newgate was leaving, following John's troops. John and Wang Ji will set off soon and sneak into the first half of the Great Route, through the means of coding, cooperate with the members of the Fishmen tribe to dive into the deep sea, pass through the Fishman Island and cross the Red Earth continent, and go to the Paradise. The action plan this time was very complete, with almost no flaws. Even Hades had to sigh that there were such talents in the Rock's Pirates Intelligence Organization. Of course, it cannot be said that there are no flaws, but the reality is that the overall strength of the Rock's pirates has an absolute advantage. With such an advantage, the Rock's pirates' offensive efficiency was maximized. The premise is that the Navy also divides its forces. In this case, the Navy will undoubtedly lose. If the Navy is willing to give up some and concentrate its combat power on 1 or 2 core members, it is still possible to achieve results. Does the Navy have such determination? Of course. In the battle on Kent Island, the Navy knew that it was no match for the Rock's pirates, so it decisively gave up the confrontation and instead sent strong men to deal with Hades, a little-known character. It's just that Hades' strength was misjudged and the mission failed. In addition, the Rock's pirates got involved and sent Shiki. Of course, Hades had no intention of reminding him, and there was nothing wrong with the Rock's pirate strategy. If you are targeted by the Navy, it can only be said that you are not strong enough and have bad luck. The Rock's pirates are ready to move, like a beast about to break free from its cage, ready to explode at any time. At this time, the Navy was also discussing how to deal with the Rock's pirates. Everyone frowned, guessing where the Rock's pirates' target would be. Seahai must send combat power. If nothing is done, if the Rock's pirates really attack Seahai, we can resist for a while and give an explanation to the participating countries. Marshal Brack rubbed his temples, but knew in his heart that this was just a rhetoric. All the elite naval forces from all over the world have been transferred away, so how can they possibly deal with the Rock's pirates? Even the pirates in the four seas are difficult to deal with the current strength of the four seas navy. Moreover, the four seas are so big that it is useless to send a small amount of combat power. Nowadays, the main position guarded by the navy is the New World, against the Rocks pirates. Even the world government does not allow the navy to put its main power in the four seas. Once the New World navy falls, the Rocks pirates will be in a no man's land, whether it's invading the Red Continent or wreaking havoc on the first half of the Grand Line through Fishman Island. It can be done. As for the four seas, if the Rocks pirates really send pirates to target the participating countries, the Navy will most likely not be able to catch up. The Navy has been criticized enough, and this time is no different, but we can't do nothing. If we really don't do anything, the participating countries will have absolute reasons to refuse to hand over the heavenly gold. Some franchise countries may be waiting for this opportunity. After the first time, there will be a second time. When the time comes, the world government will be uncomfortable, and the Navy will also be uncomfortable. Therefore, this head cannot be opened, so the Navy must take action. Pirates in the four seas lost the strong suppression of the Navy and gradually began to wreak havoc, affecting the overall economy of the four seas. Some participating countries have issued an ultimatum, and the amount of heavenly gold this year will be reduced. Marshal Brack has already had an idea, and is going to clean up the pirates in the four seas, deal with all the pirates who are jumping for joy, reduce the number of pirates, and suppress the overall strength of the pirates in the four seas. This should be able to block the mouths of these franchise countries and give an explanation to the world. As for those affiliated countries that may be destroyed, the world government can help rebuild them when the time comes, as long as there are enough reasons and results. As for how to communicate with the franchised countries, this matter is left to the world government, and Brack has no time to worry about it now. In the first half of the Great Route, the 8 bases are ready to patrol the surrounding waters. Once traces of the Rocks pirates are discovered, they will report to the headquarters immediately. The Navy has plans for the Rocks pirates to attack the four seas and the first half of the Grand Route. Despite the current intelligence, the Rocks pirates have the highest probability of taking action against the New World Navy, but there are some things that must be prepared in advance. Moreover, the situation of the Rocks pirates is very wrong now. There are many strange things, especially the loss of contact with the intelligence personnel, which gives Brack a somewhat ominous premonition. As a naval marshal, Brack has seen too many things. The situation of the Rocks pirates was somewhat unreasonable, but he didn't know what the Rocks pirates wanted to do and where their goal was. All in all, the Navy needs to go all out to respond. Each sea area in the four seas is assigned 3 lieutenant generals to guard it. As the acting governor, he will coordinate the naval power of the entire sea area and be prepared to deal with the Rocks pirates. At the same time, he will clean up the increasingly rampant pirates in the four seas. 12 vice admirals were dispatched, which seemed like a lot, but only 3 lieutenants were assigned to each sea area. There is a list in front of Brack. All of them are vice admirals who are currently in the headquarters. Take a pen and mark them one by one, and mark the notes at the back. When others saw it, they knew what Marshal Brack was thinking. There was 1 vice admiral for each of the 4 sea factions, and they were all sent to the corresponding sea areas. The other 2 vice admirals of the Navy both sent their own lieutenants who had no connection with the Sea High faction, and they suppressed the Sea High faction in terms of numbers. The position of acting governor has nothing to do with the vice admiral of the Four Seas faction, and is held by the lieutenant general of the headquarters. This layout represents the beginning of Brack's involvement in the affairs of the Four Seas Navy. The senior naval officials of the Four Seas factions wanted to object, but had no reason. Factional disputes cannot be stated openly. Chapter 85 Army Red Earth Continent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What matters most is what Brack's dispatch represents. It is equivalent to giving up all the participating countries that may be invaded by the Rocks pirates, and shifting the main direction to cleaning up the pirates. The vastness of the four seas has become an obstacle for the Navy to send troops to support. Even the first half of the Great Route requires 8 vice admirals to guard it, not to mention the four seas, each of which is several times the size of the Great Route. The Navy headquarters cannot send more forces, and the New World needs support at any time as the situation changes. In just 1 month, all 3 vice admirals died in the Battle of Kent Island. After the Battle of Fire Island, Lion Ghost Shurji killed a lieutenant general, and the Navy had lost 4 lieutenant generals. If we really want to protect the franchising countries all over the world, We must at least bring back the 4 naval admiral candidates, with the strength of an ordinary vice admiral. It is very likely that he is no match for the cadres sent by the Rocks pirates. Unprecedented pressure was on Marshal Brack. Unknown to outsiders, his hair was all white and now it was just dyed black. The overall strength of the Navy today is not weaker than before. The 3 admirals directly correspond to the core members of the Rocks pirates. For general candidates with close to the top combat power can also resist the core cadres of the Rocks pirates, including Purple Lion Messi and White Rat Ronaldo. 2 Navy lieutenants with extraordinary strength, who correspond to senior cadres of the Rocks pirates like Shiki and Newgate. However, in terms of the number of strong men, the Navy was at a huge disadvantage. Moreover, at the level of vice admiral, although the Navy is large in number, its overall quality is still inferior to that of the Rocks pirates. What kind of monsters are the Rocks pirates? When it was first established, I didn't have much sense of it, and Rocks and Jaeger were the more famous ones. With the addition of the 4 kings, the Rocks pirates suddenly became an existence that the Navy could not fight against. The important thing is that new people are constantly rising in the Rocks pirates. First there are 3 monsters, John, Silver Axe, and Wang Ji. Later there were 3 others, Newgate, Shirley, and Charlotte Lingling. Now there might be a Hades as well. No, they are 2 titans with the ability of phantom beasts. As Hades' guards, they are also potential stocks with top-level combat power. If he could go back in time, Brack would definitely use all his strength to eliminate Rocks D, Jibak and nip the threat in the cradle. Now, Brack can only try his best to maintain the current situation of the Navy. As long as the current situation can be maintained, this is Marshal Brack's goal. In other words, the Navy still needs to make continuous sacrifices. To really fight against the Rocks pirates, the Navy is far from enough. The world government also needs to send powerful combat forces to support them, whether it is CP0, the army with 3 top combat powers, or the world government's strongest organization Knights of God known as the Air Force. It's a pity that CP0 suffered heavy losses 10 years ago. In addition to secret missions, it also needs to protect the world's nobility. When necessary, CP0 will also take action. The Knights of God are the strongest protective force of the Celestial Dragons, and they cannot take action unless they threaten the lives of the Celestial Dragons. The only hope is the army. The army guards various checkpoints on the Red Earth continent and guards the stability of the Red Earth continent. The environment of the Red Earth continent is very harsh and the hard soil is difficult to cultivate. After a long period of transformation by the world government has gradually become habitable. After more than 700 years of development, the Red Earth continent is now a super kingdom with a population of 1 billion, directly controlled by the world government. The residents of the Red Earth continent, except for the nobles who migrated to the Red Earth continent, world government officials, and rich people, are only ordinary people. They are said to be ordinary residents, but in fact they are slaves of the world government. These residents are a huge group that have been reproduced from generation to generation by the slaves of the world's nobles. From birth, they are slaves of the world's nobles. The Red Earth continent is also the area that has suffered the most from the world's nobles. In the Shampoo Islands, only the Tianlong people occasionally come down to take a look. The Red Earth continent has a huge group of Tianlong people, and they have to face several or dozens of Tianlong people every day. It is conceivable what kind of dire straits the residents of the Red Earth continent lived in. For descendants of gods like the Celestial Dragons, coming to the sea is equivalent to descending to the earth. Generally, the Celestial Dragons will not come down easily, except for those who have special tasks and need to visit the franchised countries. Generally the Tianlong people will not come to the sea. In other words, if you are looking for a slave you like, you will go to the Chambord Islands. An unknown number of slaves are sent to the Red Continent every year. The needs of the world's nobles are only part of it. What is important is that the construction of the Red Continent requires a large amount of free labor. In a place with a harsh environment like the Red Earth Continent, if you want to build such a huge country where people can live, it will be filled with the lives of countless slaves. Many people just put the source of the slave trade on the world's nobles, because they don't know what the Red Earth Continent is like. In fact, the demand for slaves by the world's nobles only accounts for a small part. The real mastermind and the source of evil is the world government. If it were not for the world government, the existence of the slave trade system would have been abolished long ago. Every year, a lot of the heavenly gold is invested in the construction and transformation of the Red Earth continent, in order to supply the maintenance of the Red Earth continent. A large amount of materials need to be purchased from the Four Seas or the Great Route every year, and the resources are sent to the Red Earth continent. The Red Earth continent is directly under the high-pressure rule of the world government, not only the power, but also the materials that countless residents of the Red Earth continent rely on for survival. Once this line is cut off, unprecedented turmoil will break out in the Red Earth continent. It is conceivable what kind of terrible impact such a large number of riots will have. With the expansion of the Red Earth continent, the participating countries from all over the world began to gradually control the lifeblood of the world government. Whether it was gold in the sky or food and supplies, agriculture is very important to world government, because this controls the survival of more than 1 billion people. It is precisely because of this that there is a special agricultural and martial god among the 5 old stars. Chapter 86, Plan to Dispatch Rock's Pirates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In such a Red Earth continent, only 3 million troops are obviously not enough. However, the Red Earth continent has not been invaded for many years, and the army's establishment has not increased. As long as you think about it, the army can storm to 5 million or even 8 million troops at any time. In the Red Continent, there are countless people who want to join the army. For those residents who were born into slavery, if they wanted to become human, they needed to serve in the army for 10 years, so that they could escape from slavery. This is also an opportunity given to them by the world government, a hole opened like a ray of hope in hell. Otherwise turmoil would have broken out in the Red Earth continent. Even if the slave status is abolished, facing the world's nobles on the Red Earth continent, they are still no different from slaves, but they can get more rights to survive. Brack knew this. Although he did not agree with the world government's approach, the combat power of such an army was very terrifying. Many years ago, hundreds of thousands of troops were wiped out in the kingdom of Kronos. For the army as a whole, there was no loss of strength. In less than a month, the vacant numbers were replenished. It's just that the death of an army general in battle was a bit tragic. In terms of recruiting people, the Navy can't even keep up with the army. With their huge numbers, they can consume most of the Rock's pirate strength. In particular, the army's combat capability is not weak. Although there is no position of marshal, there are 3 army generals, each with top-level combat capabilities comparable to Davis and Puyol. Below there are 16 lieutenant generals in the army, corresponding to the lieutenant generals in the Navy. The Navy needs support from the world government and can only turn to the army. In fact, Marshal Black is also urging the world government to send strong men to support the Navy against the Rock's pirates. The more the better. Unfortunately, the world government refused on the grounds that the army needed to protect the Red Continent, and was worried that the Rock's pirates would directly invade the Red Continent. Only when the world government is taught a real lesson will it take it seriously. Brack is also secretly plotting against the world government. The foundation of the world government is heavenly gold, which is the franchising countries. The abandonment of the Sea-High franchise countries will directly cause the franchise countries to resist the world government. This will then affect the dominance of the world government and the share of gold in the sky. Brack has contacted several franchise countries with whom he has good relations. According to secretly revealed information, these participating countries have united, and this year's sky gold has been reduced by 30% compared to the previous year. If something happens again, he may even feel the threat of the Rock's pirates and the incompetence of the world government. The actual amount of heavenly gold will be reduced again based on the current level. Only then will the world government feel heartbroken and seriously support the Navy in dealing with the Rock's pirates, and at the same time send powerful combat forces to support them. With the issuance of Marshal Brack's order, the atmosphere in the first half of the Great Line, the New World, and all over the world became tense. One by one, naval warships sailed away from the Navy headquarters, passed through the vast sea area, and passed through the upside-down mountain. The troops were divided into 4 groups and headed directly to the 4 seas. In the first half of the Great Route, the 8 naval fortresses in addition to the Navy headquarters also sent warships one after another to patrol the surrounding waters. Try to send support as soon as possible after getting the news about the Rock's pirates. At that time, the 8 naval fortresses and the Navy headquarters will take action and send strong men to surround the Rock's pirate group's troops in this sea area. This sea area, called Paradise by the New World pirates, is the absolute home of the Navy. It's easy to get in, but very difficult to leave. Whether it is upside-down mountain or the sea area where paradise will appear through Fishman Island, they are all watched closely by the Navy. To be honest, the Great Line is a prison, and the only way to escape is through the windless zone. The pressure faced is no less than that of the New World. However, Rox has confidence in the strength of John and Wang Ji. As long as the world government does not come forward, it will be difficult to stop John and Wang Ji with just the power of the Navy. Today, the Navy's top combat force in the first half of the Great Line is only Marshal Brack. Under normal circumstances, the Admiral will not leave the Marine headquarters, Marinefando. Even if they take action, it won't matter. The Navy headquarters has always been under the surveillance of the Rox pirates. Once there is any movement, the Rox pirates will immediately send a message to John and Wang Ji. Instead, Rox expected Marshal Brack to take action. At this time, he would release Shiki, the Lion Demon, and let him go straight to the Navy headquarters to launch a swift attack. What could be more exciting and more damaging to the prestige of the Navy and the world government than the capture of the Navy headquarters? The world government will not take action. It has not been forced to that extent yet. Without advance preparation, it would be too late for support by then. The world government would still need the Navy to send warships to respond. The Navy's movements cannot be concealed, and this is also the Navy's attitude towards the Rox pirates. Whether it is towards the Rox pirates, the world government, or the participating countries, the Rox pirates don't care about this. They already have a complete action plan, which can be executed under the absolute rule of Rox D. Jibak. Moreover, in their opinion, the Navy's response was not very good. The 3 lieutenant generals in the world are just decorations in the eyes of some powerful people. Even the first half of the Great Line is like that. You must know that in each legion of the Rox pirates, in addition to the strong leader, there are also many monsters. Edward Newgate, who was in the same regiment as John Lord of the Rings. Bill Russell, who is on the same team as Blade Edge, is a newcomer who rose to power in the Rox pirates 5 or 6 years ago. Now with a bounty of 400 million belly, he is an indispensable senior member of the Rox pirates and a pirate with great potential. Whether it's Bill Russell or Edward Newgate, they're just one of them. Judging from the current situation, every legion of the Rox pirates is unstoppable. How should the Navy respond? How's the effect? What's the final outcome? It will affect the world situation to a certain extent. The year 1471 of the Hyuan calendar is destined to be an extraordinary year. The Rox pirates, who had been dormant for nearly 10 years, once again declared war on the Navy, the world government, and the entire world. The Navy, which has also been at a disadvantage for more than 10 years and was almost driven out of the New World, after a period of recovery, once again launched a charge against the Rox pirates. Tell the world that justice will never retreat. Whether it's the Rox pirates' attack or the Navy's counterattack, this is just the beginning. The Rox pirates took action. The pirate ships of the Rox pirates sailed into the sea in 5 groups, flying the pirate flag. The Flying Rox looks ferocious and domineering, especially the main ship of the Rox pirates, a super battleship with a length of more than 300 meters. The God Killer Raven is enough to accommodate a huge legion of 8,000 people. Even the giant doesn't look so out of place on this super battleship. Raven represents the meaning of destruction, and the name of God Killing refers directly to the world government and the world's nobles known as the descendants of gods. From this we can see the amazing ambition of Rox D. Jibek. Chapter 87 Intelligence Strikes God's Premonition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Except for the battleships belonging to the Rox pirates, some are large and some are small. There were also pirate ships flying with various pirate flags following, and the flags of the Rox pirates were also flying on the pirate ships. They are all affiliated pirate groups of Rox pirates. They also have to participate in the war between the Rox pirates and the Navy and cannot avoid it. This is also the price for them to obtain the protection of the Rox pirates. Even the captains of these pirates are themselves the main members of the Rox pirates, but they have not been disbanded. Even Xia Qi's 9 Snakes pirates are involved. Now Xia Qi is only a small role and a small leader in the intelligence organization. It does not play a very important role in the operation of the entire intelligence organization. When she truly becomes a core member of the Rox pirates intelligence organization, her status will be the same as that of the Rox pirates. Senior cadres and core cadres, there is no need to join the war. Until then, she will truly stand behind the scenes and have the Rox pirates immunity from war. in today's rocks pirates, there are not many people with this qualification, and Hades' mother Lady Nightnix is just one of them. The real list is probably known only to Rox D. Gibek. The rocks pirates have set off, and the world government and the Navy have received the news, but what frightened them was that a group of important intelligence personnel and agents had lost contact before. At this important time, another group of intelligence personnel lost contact. Hades has been very busy these days, constantly looking for intelligence personnel who may belong to the Navy and the world government. After being discovered, these personnel did not take immediate action to solve the problem. Instead, they used this special opportunity to psychologically attack the world government and the Navy. To a certain extent, it can disrupt the pace of the world government and the Navy, causing a certain impact. Every intelligence organization is a gold-eating beast. The training and development of every intelligence officer requires a large amount of funds. Use various reasonable methods to come to the territory of the rocks pirates, come to Hachinos, and even join the rocks pirates. Nothing is as simple as it seems. The loss of these intelligence personnel would undoubtedly be a heavy blow to the Navy and the world government, and the amount of money lost would be at least hundreds of billions of dollars. In particular, the development of intelligence organizations takes time. After this incident, at least for the next 5 years, many important information about the rocks pirates will be relatively blank to them. In terms of intelligence, they would be seriously at a disadvantage against the rocks pirates. The important thing is that this makes them all have some self-doubt. Are your own intelligence personnel that bad? So easily discovered? You must know that the intelligence capabilities of the Navy and the world government have always occupied the first and second positions in the world. In this era before the rise of the World Economic News Agency, the intelligence power of the Navy and the world government was a sharp blade, a big killer for any force. Now facing the wild rocks pirates, they were suddenly absolutely suppressed. How can this be? Where have their funds been spent over the years? Let them know that they all want to carry out a major purge of the intelligence department immediately and rectify it, but soon, they realized that something like this happened suddenly in just a few days. It must be that there have been some changes in the rocks pirates. Maybe there is an extra devil fruit user with special abilities. There are too many special fruit abilities in this world, but no matter what, this is a huge threat to the world government and Navy. The threat level is even second only to Rox D. Gibek. Just one person nearly paralyzed the intelligence capabilities of the Navy and the world government in half of the New World. Next, no matter what, this person must be caught. The world government and the Navy did not suspect Hades. After all, Hades was a person with death fruit abilities. This was a fact. The time when Hades joined the rocks pirates is not actually evidence. The rocks pirates have been silent for 10 years. There are too many pirates who have joined. Who knows when they secretly joined and were hidden by rocks. Hades' ability is not invincible. After all, what he perceives is just emotions combined with Hades' own judgment. Some of them hide their emotions very deeply, and they seem to really regard themselves as pirates. As members of the rocks pirates, it would be difficult for Hades to find intelligence officers who had forgotten their true identity and the Navy or world government. Of course, most of the elite intelligence personnel in the Navy and the world government have reached this level. In the first batch, the rocks pirates eliminated the more ordinary intelligence personnel. In these days, Hades has been looking for traces of these deeper intelligence agents. No one can hide forever. As long as there are signs of revealing information, the hidden emotions will change and be locked by Hades. The powerful domineering power of knowledge has always shrouded the entire island. As long as it is locked by Hades, its location and any actions will be in the eyes of Hades. Like a humanoid radar, it controls everything within the range of sight and color. The special insight and domineering power that Hades called God's premonition really amazed rocks. Although I don't know the specific ability of Hades' hockey, but through its display, you can also guess its general effect, just like its name. Just like God's perspective, the kind of control is terrifying. Even all the pirates on Hachinos Island are in the eyes of Hades, but Hades would not do such a thing. When Hades specifically focuses on a strong person, he will be noticed. Of course, there are very few strong people who can detect it. Only 5 fingers, Rocks and Death Gun Leon can accurately judge the direction of Hades, and their knowledge of sight and color has reached the extreme. Or a monster with very keen intuition, even if it notices it, it can only detect that someone is peeking at it. Even so, there are still a small number of intelligence personnel who have not been exposed. Perhaps they were aware of the sacrifice of their companions. Some psychological fluctuations will be very strong and will be exposed, and some parts are hidden even deeper. With the Rock's pirates on the move, their chances of passing on information become even smaller. The members of the Rock pirates will supervise each other. It is not a secret that there are spies from the Navy and the world government within the pirate group. Under such circumstances, it is difficult for intelligence personnel to pass on information, especially when there is a mission. Ordinary members are generally not allowed to carry things like phone bugs with them. This further eliminates the possibility of them passing on information. The Rock's pirates were dispatched and divided into 5 groups. Apart from this information, the Navy and the world government will no longer be able to obtain any other accurate information. Chapter 88, Discovering the Target. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sea is so vast that even a huge fleet looks extremely small on the island. The pirates marched straight ahead, deliberately avoiding routes with islands to prevent spies on the islands from guessing the purpose of the Rock's pirates. Nowadays, the Navy and the world government are blind, and the Navy continues to send patrol fleets to look for traces of the Rock's pirates within the scope of the Navy's control. Pirate ships passed by the sea one after another, with such terrifying aura that even the sea kings in the deep sea did not dare to approach. The god-killing raven is located in the center of the pirate ships. Hades leaned against the railing, enjoying the sea breeze, his purple hair flying in the wind. With a peaceful heart, he squinted his eyes slightly and felt the crazy, warlike atmosphere around him. Excitement, nervousness, excitement, and all kinds of intense emotions clearly emerged in Hades' mind. The only thing I don't have is fear, and fear. The Rock's pirates are a crazy group, and all the pirates in it have no scruples. Apart from actually facing death and facing the strong, there is no fear at all. Even people who are not originally like this will be infected and assimilated by such an atmosphere. Edward Newgate, for example, seems to have a relatively peaceful personality, only in the eyes of people he knows and has good friends with. In fact, he has a very domineering personality and is feared by countless people within the Rock's pirates. Externally, he is also famous as a ferocious pirate. In the future, it will even reach the point where children stop crying. Only in this way can we gain a firm foothold in the Rock's pirates, be feared, gain more benefits, and distribute more treasures. Good people can be bullied, but in the Rock's pirates, such people will not exist. The Titans were like an iron wall, following Hades closely. In addition, not far away, Carsus, who had joined his command, was alone. On the other side, Randy Orton, Bardiston, Volibear, Seamus, Cobra Worthy, and Porcupine Barkley hugged together. After a few days of getting along, they were somewhat familiar with each other. As a newcomer, I was a little nervous to participate in the war launched by the Rock's pirates. There were many strange pirates around, and this feeling made them become familiar with each other as quickly as possible. This is war, and even a pirate must have a sense of tension in his heart. This sense of tension is necessary, especially for new pirates, as this is the beginning of their transformation. Of course, there are also newcomers like Hades who are confident in their own strength. Even at this moment, there are still fights taking place on the ship. Although they are relatively restrained, there are always emergencies. Pressure needs to be vented, and for some pirates, killing and blood are often the best way to release stress. The pirates they saw were cheering and shouting excitedly. They also needed to divert their tension in this way. Many pirates are not as confident as they appear on the surface. Confidence is a protective layer that makes people feel that you are powerful and not easy to mess with. Once you reveal a hint of fear, you will be labeled as a pushover, a coward, and the target of ridicule by others. The reality of pirates is constantly revealed before Hades' eyes. In essence, many pirates are newcomers, and it is their first time to participate in such a huge war. As time goes by, the overall mood of the Rock's pirates is changing. The tension is also getting less and less. The appearance of many monsters such as Rocks, Shiki, Calloway, and Ball brings a sense of security to all pirates. It seems that the G40 base is not far away. Hades opened his eyes and looked at the sea in the distance. A patrol ship belonging to the Navy was sailing on the sea that could not be seen by the naked eye. The first goal of this regiment led by Captain Rocks is the G40 Fortress, guarded by Vice Admiral Gerd Muller. The G40 Fortress is in the same direction as the G5 Fortress. After passing the G40 Fortress and continuing forward, you will find the sea area where the G5 Fortress is located. Rocks also discovered the existence of this naval patrol ship. Shurji, deal with them. don't give them a chance to pass on the message. Yes, Captain Rox. For Rox, Shurji still respected him very much. Of course, he hasn't reached that level yet, and Shurji's ambition has not yet completely expanded to the point where he wants to stand on his own feet. Shiki, who has the ability to fly, is a sharp blade for the Rox pirates. In a short period of time, Shurji flew above the naval patrol ship, looking down at the warships below with a cruel smile on his face. Jia ha ha ha. Shishiwai Janbua, at a speed that could not be detected by the naked eye. Shurji pulled out the Sakuraji from his waist in an instant. This 21-piece knife from the collection of the nobles of the kingdom of Crotia showed its power for the first time. The golden slash fell from the sky, and the entire patrol ship was split into two from the center. The terrible impact continuously squeezed and destroyed the hulls on both sides. The sea seemed to be divided into two halves. What happened? Before these navy could react, the surrounding sea suddenly rose and formed a large water ball, wrapping them all in it. Shishiwai Gasho scroll. Killing decisively. Shurji will not give the enemy any chance as long as he takes action. All the navy was enveloped in the sea water and drowned to death under the strong water pressure. It's so powerful. Hades had to sigh when he saw this scene. This is the golden lion of the future. The second Rox D. Jibak after the destruction of the Rox pirates. It's a pity it didn't reach that level. If Roger hadn't appeared out of nowhere and searched for 100 years of blank history, Shiki would have definitely been the biggest threat since Rox. The Sky Pirates, who had reached their peak, suffered heavy losses when dealing with the Roger pirates. This is a real pity from Hades's point of view. After all, according to this situation, the flying pirates will definitely challenge the world government under the leadership of Golden Lion Shurji. For people like Hades who belong to a superpower, pirates like Roger are completely undercover agents placed by the world government among pirates. Keep the world government alive, whether it was teaming up with Garp to defeat Rox D. Jibak, or the Sky Pirates folding at their peak, it was all related to Roger. It also made the investment of various forces fall short, unsurprisingly, since the destruction of the Rox pirates. The large fleet of the Sky Pirates headed by Golden Lion Shurji has become the second target of support for those who want to challenge the hegemony of the world government. Chapter 89, The Roger G49 Fortress is Destroyed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So for Roger, Hades is not fond of him. He is just a troublemaker. Is something like a blank 100 years of history important? It doesn't matter at all. The kingdom of Kronos probably knows what happened during that time, but it just doesn't know the details. Although it may cause a certain blow to the world government, what is the use? Due to the existence of the world's nobles, the majesty of the world government still exists, but it is not good. 800 years have passed. What's the point of looking back on the past? History is written by the victors. It would be better to pursue the illusory history than to continuously weaken the world government. Like the Great Pirate Age, what a terrible impact it had. The idea of being reborn from the brokenness and reshaping the pattern of the sea is really ridiculous. The cultural level of many people in this sea is not high, especially those from common people like Roger. Maybe Roger didn't know it, but he inadvertently destroyed the long-term layout of the hostile forces of superpowers such as the Kingdom of Kronos and various world governments, causing an unknown amount of losses. This is a fact. It's no wonder why Roger's future reputation is so bad. Except for pirates, he has offended all the forces, including those who could have been friends. How could the world government be wiped out in one fell swoop when its background is so terrifying? Taking steps like they do, weakening step by step is the right way. Moreover, the Great Pirate Age did not cause substantial damage to the world government. On the contrary, some kingdoms could not hold on and became a member of the world government, contributing more heavenly gold. The Rox pirates could obviously cause greater damage to the world government, but they failed to achieve the results they wanted. If Roger and Garp hadn't suppressed Rox, the core cadres of the Rox pirates might not have betrayed them. What a great achievement that is! Rox D. Jibak is the backbone of the Rox pirates. Once he falls into decline, cracks will appear in the foundation of the entire Rox pirates. The establishment and development of the Rox pirates were based on Rox's invincible strength. When morale collapses, it's all over. For himself and for the kingdom of Kronos, Hades was born to stand on the opposite side of the world government. Calculating the world government is what he must do, and helping the Rox pirates grow is what he needs to promote. compared to the world government, rocks is not a big threat. For superpowers like Hades, there are too many ways to collapse the rocks pirates. What's more, the rocks pirates' development to this point was originally driven by them. As for rocks D, Jibek, if the Navy's 3 top combatants are not good enough, then 5 will be the best. If 5 are not good enough, then 9 will be the best. Besides, when rocks dies or grows old, the era will eventually belong to them. All in all, in the future battle on the Island of Gods, the emergence of the Roger pirates is a key node, and Hades has already kept him in mind. In an unfamiliar sea area, a pirate ship sailed rapidly on the sea. "Ah loach," young Roger sneezed. "Who is scolding me? Is the captain weak?" "Huh," the crew member not far away laughed. "You don't know my strength yet," Roger retorted, showing off his muscles. "Oops, Captain, that guy Garp is catching up," yelled the member looking out on the mast. The expressions of all members of the Roger pirates changed. "Why is this dog's nose so fast? Run! Run!" 25-year-old Roger has been at sea for 4 or 5 years and is already a famous pirate, but he is very inconspicuous compared to the rocks pirates. The time they were tempered was too short, and there is a big gap in strength between Roger and Garp now. Facing Garp's pursuit, he could only keep running away. Sometimes Garp deliberately let them go. The patrol boat of G40 Fortress was destroyed, and there was no chance to deliver the message. The huge fleet of Rock's Legion rushed towards the G40 Fortress without any hindrance. That's not good. G40 Fortress Base Director Gerd Muller frowned, feeling increasingly uneasy. He has received the news that the patrol ship has lost contact. Every 5 minutes, the patrol ship communicates with the fortress. When the patrol ship loses contact, it means something is going to happen. Quickly retreat. Everyone evacuate the G40 Fortress and notify the Navy. Facing the rocks pirates, there is no shame in escaping. The important thing is to reduce losses. Only by uniting can we truly fight against the rocks pirates. Admiral Brack has specifically emphasized this point with them, but it's too late. The rocks pirates are here. The next news that came made Gerd Muller froze in place, and his hands could not help but tremble. However, he quickly reacted and straightened his back. In front of his subordinates, at such a critical moment, as a general, he was not allowed to show a cowardly expression in front of his subordinates. However, this situation did not last long, and terrifying despair spread throughout the naval fortress. My whole heart sank to the bottom, because they discovered that what they were about to face was the strongest legion of the rocks pirates, the legion led by Rocks D, Jibek. Lion Ghost Sure G could not wait to descend on the G40 Fortress, blocking any chance of their escape. "Inform headquarters." Lieutenant General Gerd Muller ordered to the adjutant on the side, and then looked determined. "You must fight to the death." Gerd Muller's firm belief seemed to have infected the surrounding navies, and the morale was thus raised. Each navy was determined to die. It looks tragic, but it is of no use. Under absolute strength, everything is nothing. With the arrival of the rocks pirates, the powerful firepower of the G40 Fortress and the iron walls are as useless. The navy of G40 Fortress was like a lamb targeted by wolves, and was slaughtered in just 10 minutes. Vice Admiral Gerd Muller died in battle. Faced with the siege of several big pirates, they were killed with such force that they didn't even have the ability to resist. The rocks pirates are pressed for time, and there is no time to waste on a marine. The entire fortress was plundered, and all valuables and powerful weapons were looted. It is worth mentioning that the Titan transformed into a glutton and devoured all the naval warships docked at the port. Such a scene shocked many pirates. However, in order to maintain a sense of mystery, Titan is still shrouded in poisonous mist, even though it is not a secret that Titan is a phantom beast devil fruit user. According to the rocks pirates' plundering rules, except for the treasures that need to be distributed, whoever gets the rest belongs to whoever gets it. Of course, you can also rob. Everything depends on strength. However, who dares to steal things from Hades? There is no need for the strong, and the weak dare not offend. Chapter 90 Planning and Executing Naval Response. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shurji, Silver Axe, I'll leave it to you next. The G40 Fortress was destroyed, and the rocks pirates' plan officially began. At this time, this force will be divided into two. with Shiki Shurji and Silver Axe leading a force towards the G5 fortress. The remaining large force continued to be led by Rox and rushed towards the real goal of their operation, Rock Country. As for the disguise, I'll leave it to you. Rox said to a young and beautiful green-haired woman wearing a red kimono. Don't worry, Captain, just leave it to me. The woman smiled evilly, which didn't match her appearance at all, and looked a little weird. Behind her stood a young man in kimono holding a lute, who was her younger brother. Under the surprised gazes of others, she stretched out her hand and patted her face gently, transforming into Rox's appearance. Okay, Captain Rox. When he opened his mouth, even his voice sounded exactly like Lox D. Jibek. These two are one of the leaders of the Rox pirates. Women are just ordinary cadres, people who imitate fruit abilities. The young man is very powerful. As a barrier fruit user, he has the power of absolute defense. However, both of them are relatively low-key in the Rox pirates. Not far away, Hades looked at the two people and guessed their identities. Kyuten Kuchen and Kyuten Shanmaru are members of the weakened Kyuten family living abroad in Wano. In the future, he will be the mastermind behind helping Quoten Orochi overthrow the rule of the Kazuki family. I didn't expect them to join the Rox pirates so early. In this case, they can still cooperate with each other. Even though the Heighten family has weakened and was hunted down due to rebellion, it still hides its extraordinary power. Helping the Black Carbon Orochi to rise cannot be achieved through the efforts of just 3 people. He has a good relationship with Whitebeard, but he will not show mercy when targeted, let alone the country of Wano. Hades already has the idea of developing his own power. In another 2 or 3 years, he will need a stable territory. Hades has already chosen the place, and when the time comes, he will occupy it and use it as a base. There is no idea of action for the time being. Now Hades can only be regarded as a mid-level cadre in the Rox pirates and does not have that much freedom. In order to ensure the smooth execution of the plan, Black Carbon Mokata will transform into Rox. The difference between having Rox and not having Rox is a matter of heaven and earth. Only then did all the pirates know that the real target of the Rox pirates was not the navy, but the Rock Country. One of the countries that joined the world government. Countless treasures seemed to be rushing toward them, and each one held with excitement. The large force was divided into 2 groups. As for the navy, it was true that they failed to see the true purpose of the Rox pirates. The navy headquarters, which received the news from the G40 fortress, roughly guessed that the real target of the Rox pirates might be the navy, the G5 fortress guarded by the general, from the direction coming. It is completely on the same line. As for the ending of G40 fortress, they also guessed it, but there was no time to be sad at this time. Now that G5 fortress has 2 naval admirals, Davis and Puyol, does the Rox pirates want to destroy the navy at once? Probably. The Rox pirates might be aiming at the navy's high-end combat power. Faced with this situation, Marshal Brack immediately issued an order to retreat, not confronting the Rox pirates, not facing the monster Rox D. Jibak. All in all, Brack has no confidence in the strength of Davis and Puyol, which is also a problem that many people can directly see. What's more important is to buy time, abandon a naval fortress, and buy more time to gather the power of various naval fortresses together and exert the strongest power to fight against the Rox pirates. Only in this way can casualties be reduced. Otherwise, if a naval admiral is sacrificed, the loss cannot be compensated by the establishment of several naval fortresses. Marshal Brack mobilized his troops, and the G5 fortress was abandoned directly. All the navy retreated to the next naval fortress on naval warships. Sora, the cyborg located in the G1 fortress, took action. After many years, he will face Rox D. Jibak again. Unfortunately, his idea was destined to fail. The target of the Rox pirates has been determined, and the patrol ship sent by the G5 fortress is placed on this route. Easily captured the Rox pirates' large fleet. At the same time, pass the information to the headquarters. Then, there is no more. They are like a death squad whose only role is to obtain information about the Rox pirates. When they discovered the Rox pirates also discovered them. Once Shurji takes action, no one can escape. The corpses that sank to the bottom of the sea will completely become stepping stones on the road to Shurji's rise and become that insignificant string of numbers. The Navy headquarters had no doubts because they did not have time to observe carefully. Even the Rox pirates discovered the Navy earlier than they did. The Navy obtained the information that the Rox pirates were divided into 5 groups from the very beginning. even if the legion led by Lox is divided again, they will not change their established decision. No matter how we divide our forces, the Navy will never be a match for the Rock's pirates. Those naval units that have left the fortress and been mobilized will only leave some investigators, and the rest will be gathered under orders from the Navy headquarters. These forts were abandoned. Even if it is attacked by the Rock's pirates, it will not cause much damage. Rock's target is G5 fortress. The other 4 kings should also appear. Where are their targets? Get them out as soon as possible. The phone bugs from Air China Unicom and the headquarters made suggestions to Marshal Brack. Although it was a bit embarrassing, there was no shame in backing down in front of the Rock's pirates. Under the influence of Marshal Brack, Sora also began to become more diplomatic, or to be more precise, he knew how to be flexible. The fortress can still be rebuilt after it is destroyed, and the funds for the reconstruction are all provided by the world government anyway, unless you don't want the Navy to continue to be a barrier against the Rock's pirates. You must have sufficient funds. Yes, Sora. Brack felt Sora's growth, and the hard stone-like heart was polished a little smooth, and he just wanted to praise him. The phone suddenly rang, and the news that came from it made Marshal Brack's expression change drastically. The horrified expression was perfectly imitated by the phone bug that had not yet been turned off. Marshal, what happened? Kong had an ominous premonition in his heart and asked hurriedly. It's too late, our response was too slow. From the moment Hachino's intelligence force suffered a heavy blow, we were completely at a disadvantage. Brack's words were a little bitter, and some overlooked situations were figured out at this time. Originally, the Navy wanted to obtain the Rock's pirates' action plan before calmly mobilizing its forces for targeted resistance. From Hachino's to the sea area occupied by the Navy has enough time to adjust, but since most of the intelligence forces were wiped out, the Navy's position has been in chaos. Without knowing the Rock's pirates' action plan, they dare not mobilize their troops easily. As a result, no matter which naval fortress it is, it cannot resist the Rock's pirates' legion. The naval fortress, which was targeted by the Rock's pirates, had no time to evacuate. The loss of intelligence power caused him to mess up his strategy, causing everything to fall into the rhythm of the Rock's pirates. It's too late to react now.